I am not the biggest fan of DIY. So when Switchbot said that they wanted to sponsor a video and send me their smart home curtain robot, I went, that's never going to work. Look at it. It's entirely preposterous. The pokey little robot that pokes things seemed fairly insane, but a smart home choo-choo train seems a step too far. And yet... choo-choo, motherfucker. So this thing works with She That She Not Be Named, Google Home, Siri shortcuts, Samsung SmartThings, and with a bit of fiddling, Home Assistant. Home Assistant! I have to say though that Switchbot's advertising is just a little bit misleading. Not because it doesn't work well with voice assistants, because it absolutely does, but because they've suggested that this man with this haircut has been breeding with a lady. He hasn't. This bizarre choo-choo train will work on almost any curtain rail simply by changing out the little wings that go on the side of the motor. All you have to do is place your order for the right set of wings. Once your choo-choo train arrives, it takes literally 30 seconds to install. This isn't just marketing buzz from some guy with a top-knot haircut. This is reality. It genuinely took me just 30 seconds to get this thing into my curtain rail. And when you consider the blazing rows that we all have about who is going to close the curtains, it was well worth it. I've overdubbed Switchbot's official advert to see if you find these scenes familiar. Some audiences may find the following scenes disturbing. Look only to the screen. Why don't you close the curtains? Close them! Close the curtains! He's actually blowing out his lips like, if I have to walk over to those curtains one more time. And she's like, I've been in that relationship. That woman, when the cameras aren't rolling, she's throwing plates around the house. She's a maniac. I digress, and I should probably stop taking the piss out of my supplier's advert. So what does it work with? Well, first of all, the sun. It's got a little light sensor on it that basically says if the sun is this bright, how far do you want the curtains to be open? And you actually get to choose by percentage how far the curtains open and at what level of light is required to open them to that degree. You could simply have them open all the way, or you could say if it's this bright, open them a little bit. It's amazingly detailed and amazingly customizable. It's actually measuring light all of the time and recording it to the app so that you can make an informed decision on how much daylight there is at a given time so that you can set the thresholds accordingly. This functionality is in beta testing, and I personally haven't managed to get the sensor to receive enough light to actually make a decision to open the curtains because I live in the UK, where we have no sun. This is a sorely missed opportunity in my opinion on Switchbot's part because they could have simply used sunrise and sunset data from an internet database and then by locale just opened and closed the curtains according to sunrise and sunset. Switchbot, if you're watching, I think this would be a good addition. You can control it on a simple schedule based on time, which works really well and will fool the burglars, and there's something called touch and go, where you kind of pull it. It's a bit of a misnomer because it's not really a touch, you have to give it a bit of a tug to get it to work, but I suspect the term tug and go means something else. This channel has gotten too smutty! I'm leaving! Still, the option to do the job by hand is still there. Hand job. Unsubscribe! Everything we've discussed so far can be achieved with the motors themselves, but if you want voice control, you'll need the cloud. Literally. You need to buy a mystical glowing cloud. Switchbots do two hubs. This is the magical glowing version, and I love it. They do another version called the Mini, which does exactly the same thing but doesn't glow and is much cheaper. You should probably buy that one. Without one of these two hubs, there is no voice functionality and you won't be able to avoid that passive-aggressive shoving from your significant other. I can't stop watching this advert. It's funnier every time you watch it. That anguish in his face isn't like the physical pain of being shoved, that's the emotional torture of being shoved for the 3rd time that day. I imagine the next scene will be him burying her under the patio, but I digress. If you spend the extra £29, you'll get the additional functionality of She That Should Not Be Named, Google Home, Siri, and If This Then That. It's important to note that if you're an Apple-type person, that you will need your iPhone switched on and in your house for this to work. This is because your HomePod is telling your phone to tell your hub to tell the motor to run. Without the phone, your robot butler will get typically apologetic about his inability to bottle your curtains.
Accept my groveling apologies. Although I am a robot butler, I cannot bottle your curtains because I suck.
The battery life on these things is preposterously long. Rob from The Hookup reviewed this same thing, and he set an automation going to open and close the curtains on a continuous loop to see how long they would last. They went for 4 days. His wife now hates him. Switchbot states that with normal usage, your curtains should open and close every day for a full 8 months before you need to charge it up. But if you don't want to charge them up at all, you can actually get these amazing add-ons where you just plug a solar panel into the back of them, and this is absolutely ingenious. They're £19 each and well worth the money. There are cheaper options out there, but none of them have the ability to attach a solar panel. And for me personally, this is absolutely crucial and puts them in a completely different league from everything else out there on the market. This is such an easier installation to stomach than it is to get motorized curtains and build those things from scratch, and it's about half the price. So although these are £85 a motor and therefore quite expensive for smart home equipment, you have to keep this in perspective. That is still half the price of a motorized curtain rail and much easier to install. Full disclosure though, if you've got 2 curtains to open and close instead of one long one to draw across, or one motor won't draw both curtains, you'll need 2 motors. That is obviously twice the expense. On top of that, you are going to have to buy solar panels if you want to go that route at £19 each, and then you're going to want the hub, which the cheapest one is £29, so that you can use your voice and avoid all that passive-aggressive shoving. So is it worth it? Yes, absolutely. If you've ever installed a motorized curtain rail, it's a pain in the ass to put together. It's a pain in the ass to get the electrical cable hidden and up the wall and plugged into a socket that just happens to be close by. The whole experience is not a great deal of fun, and the actual end result is barely any different. They both open and close your curtains. I think the speed and the volume of the motorized rail is a little bit better, but for pure convenience and actually probably saving yourself a fair amount of money if you only have the one curtain, I will take the smart home choo-choo train all the way to Curtain Town. What? The setup process for these things was unbelievably easy, and this really is a set and forget device. It has this premium feel to it that has completely convinced me that it's not going to lose its limits over time and needs setting back up again. When you set the limits, you are confident, yep, it knows where my closed point is, and it knows where my open point is. I am really impressed with this device. If you're looking for a way to smartify your curtains that is reasonably priced and super easy to install, this is your budget. If you've got the cash for these, then this is a purchase you will not regret. There is nothing like watching your curtains open and close all by themselves for bringing out your inner child. More importantly, it will fool the burglars into thinking that you just have a really robotic arm motion. Must not take piss out of sponsor! Look at the little shrug of his shoulders. He's like, whew, I didn't expect that. I'll rob next door. Also, separate beds, I notice. I've been in that relationship too. If you don't remember Switchbots, they are the guys that made these tiny little smart home pokey robots that make me laugh until I fall over. They have a brilliant ecosystem, and this is an amazing addition to that ecosystem. If you're interested in any of the devices you've seen in today's video, have a look in the description. I will link you there to where you can buy these things. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, because that'll tell YouTube's algorithms it was a good video and more people should see it. If you want to see some more of this guy, hit that subscribe button and ding that bell. If you ding the bell, it lets YouTube know that you want to be notified when I upload videos. These amazing people here are my patrons, and honestly, I can't thank them enough. Without those guys, I would not still be doing what I'm doing, and I love what I do. So thank you, patrons. If you want to be one of those guys, you can do that at either Patreon or buy me a one-off beer at PayPal, and either way, I'll flipping love you forever. If you want to see me on social medias, there is my Facebooks and my Twitters and my Instagrams. Come and hang out there, and we can be best friends. See you next time. So, what does it work with? Well, first of all, the sun. It works with the sun. I seem to have gone in a bit of a strange direction with my voice tone. For it to make an educated decision on whether This guy, with this haircut, has apparently been breeding with a lady. He's not.